Henry Lee Bates, and this is The Way to a Wonderful Life. And our Way to a Wonderful Life message for today is titled Increasing Faith. Increasing faith. Our faith is always increasing, even if we're not aware of it, because whatever it is that we have faith in, and we repeat that in our mind, that we do believe something, that we do have faith in something, there happens, an increase happens in our subjective part of our mind, the subjective part of our mind that declares it as the truth and as something that we accept to be true. And so as we allow ourselves to believe in the good, and we affirm that we believe in the good, we believe that all things work to our good, that God is always working for us, just as Jesus said, is the Father that doeth the work, the Father being Spirit, he tells us, and Spirit is intelligence and power and mind. And so we know that thoughts and the things, the images that we take into our mind are all in alignment with this intelligence and this power, which is God, when it's directed towards the good. James Philip Freeman, in his book B, writes, "And the faith that grows out of questioning is stronger than the faith born of blind acceptance." The faith that grows out of questioning is stronger than the faith born of blind acceptance. It can withstand the shocks of circumstance. Only he who questions the universe and questions it in utter honesty can grow in his comprehension of the truth, comprehension of the truth. So in other words, we must always try to understand everything that we believe in and ask ourselves, why do I believe it? Why do I believe it? What is the foundation of that belief? We know that we look out into our world and we see all manner of things that contradict the truth, that God is all and all is God. But we also remind ourselves that facts change, the truth does not, that no matter what it is that anyone is expressing at any moment in time, that everyone can have a transformation in consciousness, and that all those things that are not of God will go away in the right and perfect time, in the right and perfect way, that they will go back to God sometimes in a quicker way than they ever imagined for themselves, and those spirits will find within their own journey that something that will cleanse their mind and give them that opportunity for a transformation into a greater life and a better life. We've all heard the words, if you don't use it, you lose it, and this is important to remember when it comes to our faith. In the ancient scriptures, we are told to pray without ceasing, and in doing so, we become conscious of what we are thinking and the patterns of our thoughts. Knowing that thoughts have formative power, in other words, thoughts form things, especially those thoughts about things that we dwell on mentally, it is incumbent upon us to consistently recognize that our thoughts are shaping our experiences. So let ourselves dwell on the good. Let ourselves dwell on that which is wonderful, and let ourselves dwell on the truth that God is always working for us, working towards our good, that this love and law of God is always an activity in our life, that we invite that powerful, loving action of God into our life every day and whatever it is that concerns us. You know, so many times people just take themselves so for granted. They don't realize just how important they are to the balance of life in this universe, and they just see themselves as very complacent and affecting their life experiences. But none of us can be complacent in affecting our life experiences. If we want to really enjoy life, if we really want to have the vitality of life and the radiance of the Spirit moving to our mind, our heart, and our soul, and be able to express those gifts of the Spirit of happiness and joy and peace and prosperity and love and strength and beauty, all those things. So we know that we're here to express life, and life is God. We're here to express the Spirit of life. That Spirit within us wants to be expressed, seeks to be expressed, and as we increase our faith that it is being expressed, then we will see it expressed in our life in a greater way. You know, I often repeat the statement of faith from the teachings of Jesus because it's very necessary that we not lose sight of it. Jesus says, "For most certainly I tell you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed," now that mustard seed is the Bible says is the smallest seed on earth, but that was not true, but whoever wrote that certainly thought it was. "You will tell this mountain," Jesus says, "move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." Now, does he tell us to move mountains? No. But he is telling us to think big, to think of the greater things. He said, these things I have done, if you choose to do them, you can do them, but greater things still can you do than you've done before if you affirm your faith, if you affirm your faith and align your mind with the good, align your mind with the law of good. These simple words, Jesus tells us that everything is possible when our faith is in tune with the infinite good. Does this mean that our faith can only be used for what the world thinks of as good? No, it doesn't. To be so would be to attribute limitation to faith, and that would be a false idea. Faith, like electricity, can be used for the good, or it can be used to negate the good, even destroy what we might call good. We might ask, why is this possible? And that would be a good question. Since faith is a universal law, it works for everyone and everything in the same precise way, or as stated so simply by the words of the mastermind Jesus, for he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. But we know that the evil, it just lives spelled backwards. It's negating life, and whoever negates life will soon lose life, because we can't continue to negate life by doing what we call evil things and expect to live the good life, the joyful life, the healthy life. Just as we can't expect injustice to continue, because justice will always prevail in the world, because justice is part of that good that God has made omnipresent in the world in which we live. Let's remember what the mastermind Jesus said about faith, the size of a mustard seed. And in other words, we have varying measures of faith as applied to various things. This is why we may pray successfully for money, but our prayers miss the mark for loving companionship. Another example may be a man who has the faith that he can rob a bank, but doesn't have the same measure of faith to escape being arrested. We have faith that night follows day, but doesn't day also follow night? Our faith to be powerful must contain a powerful conviction. And this conviction comes from convincing ourselves that we have the faith to do the thing that we set out to do, that we have the faith, that all things work to our good, but we must generate that faith within our own mind to the level of strength and conviction and perseverance if necessary. Faith is the strength of the soul, and lost is the person without it. And by that it means lost to the things of the world, to the powers of the world, the seeming powers of the world, I should say. There is no power but God. God is all power. That means good is all power. So when we think about what's going on in our life, what is it that we want? What is it that we wake up every day thinking that this would make my life a more wonderful life if I could just do this, be this, or have this? And what is our motivation? What is our intention for that good? Because God listens to our heart. Now, so many people think they can manipulate the love and the law of God, but love means that God is giving us the creative ideas, the creative thoughts, the creative images, the talents, the abilities, the skills to do things that not only benefit us, but benefit all those around us. And when we think about it, everything we do benefits those around us. If I get a job and I have money, I pay taxes. If I get a job and I have money, I buy more groceries, I buy more clothes, I take vacations, I do all these things, and all that is benefiting someone who's in that business of selling me those things or servicing those needs or those wants or those desires. So we know that if we take it into our mind that all that we do is always benefiting other people, then we realize that our prayers can never be a selfish prayer unless of course, we want to hoard something, because whatever it is that we hold on to will diminish in value. That's why Jesus told the rich young man to give up all his earthly possessions and follow him, because the man was a hoarder. He was hanging on to everything because he saw his security in life as his material possessions rather than his faith in God, his faith in the good that could not only replace those material possessions, but could replace them 100 times more if the man just allowed himself to have the faith and the law of good and the law of God and to follow those instructions of Jesus rather than hanging on to the stuff that moths and rust would corrode and diminish. We all know what happens when you take a beautiful, beautiful piece of furniture and you have it for a few years and you put it into a garage sale. We all know what happens. We all know what happens. You walk through a thrift store and you see some wonderful, wonderful materials made or upholstered couches or chairs, and you see a price tag on it that just stuns your mind to think that this beautiful piece of furniture could be selling for so less, because everything diminishes in value. Everything but our spirit, our mind, our soul, the intelligence within us, and the power of God moving through us, these are never diminished. And as we understand this and get the conviction that my faith is always increasing in its powerful, loving action of God expressing through me, then my faith will increase automatically. Automatically, our faith will increase. Let's go to some more wisdom from James Dillett Freeman's book. The book is titled B. That's B-E, and you can buy his book, I think, on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. He's a great, great unity teacher and author. He writes, and he was also a poet. He writes, you can learn to have faith. You can learn to have faith. Faith is not an abstraction. It is an attitude towards life, a feeling about life. It does not come out of signs or miracles or any outward happenings so much as out of an inward growth. If you cannot believe in much, then believe in the little that you can. Start where you are and grow. What seed can have a foreknowledge of the tree it will become? What thorny bush can prophesy the rose? What worm, that is a caterpillar, can tell of the butterfly? Faith grows. Faith grows if we let it. If we let it. If we allow ourselves to be distracted by the things of the world, if we allow ourselves to be distracted by the noise and the nonsense going on around us sometimes, then of course our faith will become stagnant. Sometimes it'll even diminish. But if we keep our mind stayed on the good, look beyond all that we see in the world. That's why Jesus said, look up and not down. He didn't say look up to the sky for your good, but look up away from the things that you see in the world that deny and contradict the faith of the good that you have in your mind. Keep faith in the good in your mind, because faith in the good is faith in God. There are people that think that, you have to live in a stark life or live without any kind of luxuries in life. You have to give up the opulent life for the struggling life and the poverty life, that you have to give everything to charity in order to be a moral person or a godly person. But that's all just the noise and the nonsense of the world. We're here to be a part of God's good circulating in the world. And the more that we attain in life, the more that we accept for ourselves, the more that we bring into our experience of good, the more we can share with the world, the more we can give out to all those who are seeking to be compensated and seeking to be realizing a greater increase in their good as well. So the more we have, the more we can do, the more we can do, the more we can be, the more we can be, the more we can give, the more we believe, the more we receive. So we go back to that statement from our opening affirmation that we use every day, and we use that every day throughout the year, just because if we just read it once or twice, or we just let it into our mind once a day, it won't mean anything to us. We have to carry these things throughout our mind in the day. That's why the scripture says pray without ceasing, because once you stop listening to this radio program, only heaven knows what will come into your life the rest of the day. All kinds of stuff will come to us from the news media, will come to us from the people around us, will come to us in all manner of ways. So we must keep our mind stayed on the good, stayed on God, so we can say, I believe and I receive, and there is no spot where God is not. That means there is no spot where good is not. And no matter what I see, if it contradicts that truth, I look up and I say, I know the truth. I know the truth that God is. I know that there's only good, there's only God, that God is omnipresent, all present. God is omnipotent, all power. God is omniscient, all intelligence. And so whatever I see that lacks intelligence, that lacks power, that lacks the good, I know that it's just an illusion that the world is created from its belief in God and something else, God and something else, God and something evil, which is only seeking to diminish life and to diminish in our minds and our hearts and our soul the allness of God, the allness of God, the allness of God's good that's available to all of us. So let's go back and revisit that profound statement of truth that Jesus gave us, faith as a grain of mustard seed, and think about that illustration. Faith as a grain of mustard seed, that little tiny mustard seed grows into this humongous tree that's one of the strongest trees, this tree that comes from the mustard seed on the planet, one of the strongest trees on the planet. So when you think about this little tiny seed and the strength of the intelligence within it to grow it into this humongous tree, just think what a tiny little bit of faith can do in our own life. And how do we get that tiny little bit of faith? We affirm the truth more than we've affirmed it yesterday and the day before. We affirm the truth more than we did last week. We affirm the truth more than we did last month. We affirm the truth more than we did last year. The more we affirm the truth that God is all there is, that God is the only power, the only intelligence, the only spirit that is supreme in the world in which we live, and as we fill our mind with the allness of good, the allness of God's love and God's law, working through our lives in the most wonderful way, and realize that every good desire that comes to our awareness, every good desire that comes into our heart is God's good desire for us to live it, to experience it, to have it, to do it, to be it. But we must find in our mind that conviction of faith, that increasing faith that this too shall be a part of my life experience, so I must prepare myself in faith to accept it, to receive it, to open my mind, my heart, and my soul to God, and let God power, God spirit, God intelligence infuse my mind, my heart, and my soul with that strength of faith that knows that no matter where I am, God is, that no matter what I'm doing, I am in the activity of God, that I really do believe and accept and know, just as the apostle did, that in him I live and move and have my being, in this invisible, this great unseen power, presence, intelligence that we call God. In God I live and move and have my being, and in me, in my heart's desires, God is seeking to express that good life, that abundant life, that joyful life, and that wonderful life through me, as me, and for all those I come into contact with, to share in the glory, to share in the good, to share in the love of God as it expresses through me out into the world in which I live. So each and every one of us can take that into our mind, take that into our heart, take that to the deepest levels of our soul, and get a conviction that it's the truth for us, that faith as a grain of mustard seed idea that Jesus gave us, we must take it to the next step. We must take it to the next step. That mustard tree originates from Persia, which is parts of Iraq and Iran. The tree grows to about 20 feet high and has an irregular shape. It is nearly as wide as it is tall. In other words, it was a perfect symbol that Jesus used of the way in which our faith can grow tremendously and give us the power to experience the big things, the great success, the tremendous prosperity, the limitless creativity, and every good desire of our heart. Jesus was a mastermind. And if we don't allow ourselves to understand that he would believe in us as much as we should believe in what he did, then we're being foolish. We're being foolish. He said, "These things I have done, you can do them too if you choose to, but greater things still shall you do if you follow my lead and take the faith within your heart, your mind, and your soul that God is seeking to bless you, to prosper you, to heal you, to give to you all the good desires of your heart. Jesus said, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" You of little faith, he said, why are you so afraid? Facts change, the truth does not. Keep faith with the truth. Keep faith with life. Keep faith with God. And feel that Spirit of God within you as your faith grows. Feel that Spirit of God within you as your faith grows. Just allow yourself to be the perfect image and likeness of God in all that you do. Let's listen to these words. The mind within me, being God, is not afraid of anything. It does not remember any unhappy experience, nor does it anticipate any. At the center of my being, there is complete poise, perfect faith, and confidence. At the center of my being, say that to yourself. At the center of my being, there is complete poise, perfect faith, and confidence. Say it. I am forever one with Spirit, in it and of it. I am forever one with Spirit, in it and of it. I am an individualization of pure spirit, of pure power, of pure intelligence. There is no condemnation, no judgment, no sense of sin, no sinner, no mistake, no punishment, no burden, no doubt or fear in me, ever. No bitterness, no hate, no strife. I am but the image and the likeness of God, expressing life, this thing called life, as a joyful life, an abundant life, a glorious life, and a wonderful life. And I let it be so as my increasing faith draws to me all things necessary for it to be so, and so it is. Amen. Once again, I want to thank you for being with me.